Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. And we begin tonight with former President Trump under oath. 6 hours of questioning from the New York Attorney General and her team. The former president invoking the fifth today, all part of the New York Attorney General's civil investigation into the Trump family business. We are learning new details from inside that room tonight. The first images this morning, the former president as he left Trump Tower. A short time after arriving at the Attorney General's office in Lower Manhattan, his office releasing a statement declaring his intent in this deposition, saying he had no choice but to invoke the fifth after long criticizing people who have invoked the fifth before. The former president pointing to the FBI search of his home at Mar-a-Lago 48 hours ago, quote, wiping out any uncertainty, he said. Again, these investigations are completely separate. Tonight, with pressure mounting on authorities to reveal something about what they were looking for at Mar-a-Lago in that unprecedented search, tonight, FBI Director Christopher Wray, appointed by former President Trump himself, what the FBI director said today. But first, those new details from inside this deposition. The former president under oath, Dan Abrams, is here tonight. Our chief Washington correspondent, Jonathan Karl, leading us off.
How do you feel, Mr. Trump? How do you feel?
Donald Trump today became the first president in American history to take the fifth. Appearing before New York's Attorney General for a sworn deposition, Trump declined to answer questions, citing his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Sources say the former president only answered a single question, "What is your name?" and that he began with an opening statement accusing the New York Attorney General of being politically biased. The questioning, which went on for 6 hours and was videotaped, was in a civil case accusing the Trump family business of misrepresenting the values of its properties. For years, Donald Trump has railed against political opponents who take the fifth as a sure sign of guilt.
You see, the mob takes the fifth. If you're innocent, why are you taking the Fifth Amendment?
In a statement today, Trump conceded he has changed his mind about the fifth. He claimed he had no choice, adding, "If there was any question in my mind, the raid of my home, Mar-a-Lago, on Monday by the FBI, just 2 days prior to this deposition, wiped out any uncertainty." The Mar-a-Lago raid had nothing to do with today's deposition. Law enforcement sources say the FBI search of his Palm Beach home was related to documents, some of them classified, that Trump allegedly took improperly from the White House. The Biden White House says it had nothing to do with the decision to search Mar-a-Lago, and that all decisions on investigations are handled independently by the Justice Department. President Biden declined to comment on any of it.
What do you say to Americans who think this is a politically motivated search of Mar-a-Lago?
Are you confident DOJ will be fair?
At a public event today in Omaha, FBI Director for Christopher Wray, who was appointed by President Trump, was asked for details on the search and whether he is concerned about possible threats to agents from Trump's supporters.
That's not something that I can talk about, so I'd refer you to the department. As to the issue of threats, I will say that I'm always concerned about violence and threats of violence against law enforcement.
But Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, after initially declining to comment, is demanding an explanation, saying, quote, Attorney General Garland and the Department of Justice should already have provided answers to the American people and must do so immediately. The Justice Department is standing by the long-standing practice of not commenting on current investigations. Trump himself could reveal the details of the search. One of his lawyers says they have a copy of the search warrant as used by the FBI, a warrant that would include the reasons for the search as well as a list of items taken by the agents, but he has declined to make them public.
And so let's get right back to John Karl again tonight from Washington. John, you first reported last night here, former President Trump has the search warrant, which could, of course, reveal a lot more here if he wanted to share with the public. Tonight, you've also reported here that federal agents are usually required to leave a list of items taken. So the former president presumably has a lot of information he could release, given there are so many questions and so much pressure on authorities to reveal what they were looking for here.
Yeah, there are actually two documents here. There's the warrant itself, which provides some reason, justification for the search, what they are looking for. And then once the search is completed, added to that is an inventory of the items that have been taken during the search. And that is left with whoever was searched, usually right after the search is completed. And there is absolutely nothing preventing Donald Trump from releasing all of that right now.